Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Andrew, and welcome to our series for real estate investors. This video tutorial will hopefully shed some light on how to use QuickBooks for your portfolio. I'm doing a series. This is part 12 of our series. I recommend checking out parts 1 through 11 and catching up with where we are right now. But you don't have to watch them to get information. Hopefully I've titled and tagged these videos so you can find them easily without going through the other parts. Today's video is setting up a vendor, the detailed version. So I'm going to go into detail about all the different options you can have when setting up a vendor. Alright, so let's jump into it. First, I'm going to go to my vendor center, which is found under the vendors menu and the first option down, or if you're using the quick launch toolbar, it's the icon that says vendors. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to maximize it, and if you watched part 10 you'll notice that the vendor we created is here in our vendor center. So we do have one vendor already, which all I did with this vendor was do the quick add. So now I'm going to go back and open this vendor up a little bit and put in some more information and tell you why that's important. To edit a vendor, you can do a couple things. You can right click and you can go down here to edit vendor. You can do Control E when you have that vendor selected, or you can come over here to the pencil icon if you're using QuickBooks Pro 2013 and edit that vendor that way. So I prefer the shortcut keys. They work for previous versions of QuickBooks. I don't think 12 and 11 have this little pencil icon. This is kind of a new interface for 13. So I use Control E just because it's fastest and I like the keyboard. So when I click any of those links to get to the edit screen, this is what you're greeted with. You can see that we have the vendor name here, which is Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. And then we have another box here where we can enter all kinds of relevant details about this business. The first place people get tripped up is between vendor name and company name. People say, well, I don't understand, the vendor and the company, they're the same thing. Well, not really, because for you, say you wanted to create a different vendor name that was just DCH. That's how you knew, you personally, or the user of QuickBooks knows this business. Really, the full name and the proper name is Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. So when you tell QuickBooks the company name and you use this field here, it will then use this name for all official correspondence. So when you write a check, the company name will show up. When you send an invoice, the company name will show up. If you issue a credit memo, a statement, any type of document or correspondence, a letter, an email that you might send out of QuickBooks, this company name will be used. So this vendor name here is really for the user of QuickBooks, and it doesn't have to be the full description. However, I recommend doing it that way just to avoid confusion. If you want to pass the books off to some other, say you have a bookkeeper or an accountant that's helping you, it's good to always have the full name so you speak the same language and so there's not any lost in translation or communication issues. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it as Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. Whoops. Now, if I have the vendor name up here as the full company name, I typically don't enter that, so I can leave that blank. Full name. Now you might say, why do I need a full name of a company? This generally is the person who is your liaison or mail should be sent to the care of. So if there's a specific lawyer, or if there's a sales rep, or if there's a customer service rep, somebody that you deal with on a consistent basis, that you want to send mail to, or whom you want to send mail to, then you should put this name in here. And this is Steve Howe. So Steve Howe is my lawyer, and I can say he's a partner. The job title, not necessarily that important. All these fields here are pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into these. Main phone, work phone, mobile, blah, blah, blah. However, I will note that if you want to send an email, if you want to send correspondence via email from QuickBooks, which is very powerful, so you want to send an invoice from QuickBooks, then you must put in their email address here. You can choose main email or alternate email 1 and 2. It doesn't really matter as long as you have an email address in there. So I'm going to say steveh@deweycheathamandhowe.com. I hope that's not a real person. I'm making this up. And then CC email. If you want to always copy, say, another person when you send out your correspondence, maybe it's purchasing if you're sending a purchase order, or maybe it's accounts payable at dch.com. It doesn't really fit for the attorney example or the law firm example, but if you wanted to send your correspondence to more than one email, you would put the other email address in here. Okay, so now let's move on to the address details, and this is important too because, like I've been saying, QuickBooks is going to pull all of this information when you send out correspondence, so you want to have the correct address. And I'm just going to make this up. I live in Cincinnati. You can know that. So I'm going to put a Cincinnati address. I don't think Gouge Street is a real street. So it's important to have an address here. Billed from address and shipped from address are different. Usually the billed from address is where you'll be getting correspondence from, and shipped from is where if they were to send you anything, they would ship you from. Since this is a law firm, I don't need to have a shipped from. This billed from address will service just fine. However, if you are buying any inventory, you would want to have a shipped from address as well. And to do that, you can just click this copy button, and it's going to just say, hey, here's all your information. Okay, we're done. Alright, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to break this up in a couple parts because it's we've got some other tabs here. We've got payment settings, tax, account, additional info. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to make a couple different parts of this one part of our series. So there'll be part 11A, B, C, D, etc. Excuse me, no, we're in part 12, I think. Let me check on that real quick. I'm sorry, part 12. So this will be part 12A, part 12B, C, etc. So thanks for watching. Like, dislike, tell me what you thought. Send me a comment. If you've got a question, I will try to do a video on it. See you next time.